All right, chapter 4, and we're going to do a dry read again. I'm going to try and slow down my pace, should potentially help the stutters and missteps. Other than that, no further ado here. Let's get into it. It was amazing how fast Aiden was at taking down all his equipment. There was a lot to disconnect and pack away, but he had obviously become quite practiced at it, and what Travis would have guessed should have taken a few hours had been completed in one. While the screens were being tucked away, Braden had quickly packed what little he had and then pored over some notes and a map. The paper he consulted looked almost like a set of instructions. Not a bad idea to organize a procedure to make it go faster. Also useful if anything ever happened to Braden, who, at this point, Travis certainly considered the leader. When Braden seemed to have settled and Aiden was almost finished, Travis decided to try and get some answers about what happened. "Ran into your girlfriend," Braden answered. The answer threw Travis off. He didn't have a girlfriend. There had been a girl at school he had a crush on, but he had never had the courage to ask her out or anything. Travis's confusion must have been apparent because Braden elaborated. "The one that snuck into your bedroom? She was stalking you when I found you this morning?" Realization dawned on Travis. He felt like an idiot not catching the fact that girlfriend had been a joke. He was talking about the ghost girl. Or what was it they had called her? Windy. "Where?" Travis asked. "Did she follow us to the hideout?" Braden glanced nervously to the left where the steps leading upstairs were located. No. Not this morning, anyway. I think I lost her again after the fight." "What fight?" Aiden had stopped packing at that point, distracted by the conversation. Rolling his eyes, Braden gestured to his damaged clothing. "You think I just did my best impersonation of a sled or something? Of course I got into a fight." Aiden's brow furrowed and he continued to stare at his partner for a little longer. But he didn't say anything else and went back to packing. Braden gave an apologetic shrug to Travis. "I didn't get any food. We'll have to try a gas station maybe once we're out of town." Travis shook his head. He had stopped thinking about food since Braden had come in so panicked. He was a little surprised that it was even being brought up now. Although now that it was, Travis felt the sharp pangs of hunger once again. He was not used to going without regular meals and snacks. "All right, I'm ready." Aiden had moved to stand beside Braden. He wore a heavy-looking backpack and a large rolling suitcase behind him. Braden nodded and slung a bag over his own shoulder and led the way out. Travis helped lift one end of Aiden's suitcase to get it up to the ground floor. "Once we're outside, we need to walk quickly," Braden instructed. "Don't look around, don't talk to anyone, just keep moving. We'll make our way to the bus station." "Where are we going?" Travis had no idea if a specific destination had been planned before or if they chose their destinations more randomly. "Wherever the bus is. Once we make it to a larger city, we'll have more options. But for now, we get on and we get out of town." Travis still wanted to visit Greenwood, but felt this probably wasn't the time to bring it up, so he gave a serious nod to let Braden know he was ready to do as he was told. Making it to the bus station turned out not to be difficult at all. There was a moment that Travis thought he had seen someone recognize him, but then they were gone. Once they made it, Braden told him and Aiden to wait behind while he got them all tickets. "Does it always go like this?" Aiden shrugged. "Not always." After a short pause, he added, "Maybe 30%. Travis didn't know what he had expected the answer to be, and he wasn't sure if it made any difference. It had been a question to fill the void and distract him from his own nerves. He was finally leaving town, and he was doing it while on the run from, well, he didn't really know. The recruiters was the only way he had figured out how to refer to them. "All right, I've got everything settled," Braden had returned and was speaking to Aiden. "At the risk of sounding like a parent, you two should hit the restrooms. I'll take the suitcase and make sure it gets loaded." With a nod, Aiden handed over the suitcase before he and Travis left for the bathroom. Once business was completed, Travis returned to the lobby and looked around for Aiden. Not seeing him, he figured he must not have finished up yet. Leaning against the wall to wait, Travis watched a few people waiting around. It was not a large place, and there was not many people around, so when Travis heard his own name being spoken by a female voice, he thought his heart was going to explode out of his chest in panic. "Is that you, Travis? Oh, thank goodness. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I was just looking everywhere and was afraid you might have already skipped town." Travis's wide and terrified expression eased only a little when he saw who had come toward him. It was Sarah, the girl from the Japanese class that had volunteered to escort him to the principal's office. What is she doing here? Looking for me, I guess, but why? Oh, hi? Why are you running, Travis? Your parents seem really worried. They've asked practically everyone to find you. Well, because of what you can do? I know some people are scared by that, but I'm sure you're... Sarah trailed off and was looking curiously over Travis's shoulder. Turning, he found that Aiden had emerged and was staring right back at the girl. We need to go, Travis. Looking back and forth between Aiden and Sarah, Travis finally flashed an apologetic look to the girl. Look, I really need to get going. I'm fine. Tell everyone I'm fine. Realizing that there are probably not that many who cared, Travis added, Anyone who asks, I mean. Come on, he's waiting, Aiden said impatiently. Right, okay, I'm coming. Bye, Sarah. Travis and Aiden had only managed to make a few steps before Sarah caught back up and tapped Travis's shoulder. Wait, you really think this is a good idea? Who is this guy, anyway? Aiden groaned. We don't have time for this. He shoved the girl away from Travis and tugged him along. Surprised and appalled, Travis yanked his arm free. What are you doing? He turned to Sarah. Are you okay? Sarah was miffed and a little shocked herself, but she gave a shake of her head. No, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Great friend you made there. He's just in a hurry. We all are. Throwing his hands up in surrender, Aiden turned and headed for the gate. I'll let Brayden know you're not going to make it. No, I'm coming, Travis shouted after him. Let him know I'll be right there. He turned to say goodbye again to Sarah, only to find she wasn't there anymore. Giving a quick glance around the room, he saw her walking away. Apparently she, like Aiden, had given up on Travis. When Travis found the line for the bus, he didn't see Brayden anywhere. Aiden was just a few people in, however, and Travis joined him there. One of those behind muttered low, probably annoyed at the line growing one person longer. Did you find Brayden? Aiden looked up and down Travis and took a small step away as if he felt they were standing too close. Decided to ditch the girl? Travis didn't bother responding with anything more than expression that was a combination of irritation and confusion. Brayden is up ahead. Don't worry about him. I wasn't worried about him, just wondering if we have our tickets. Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. The line started moving right then, and after a few minutes they were all outside, headed toward the loudly idling bus. There was a few shouts of "excuse me," accompanied by some protests. Then, just as Aiden stepped up into the bus, Sarah arrived beside Travis, a boarding pass in hand. What are you doing? Decided I would come along. Running off along with strangers is a good way to wind up dead. Figured you stood a better chance with someone a little more level-headed. What is she doing here? Aiden growled. Travis held up a hand to stop him from talking and remained focused on Sarah. Level-headed? Buying a ticket on a bus headed for who knows where is the kind of decision you see as level-headed? I wouldn't have to if you weren't. You don't have to at all. Hey, shouted the next passenger in line. Could you take your lover squirrel somewhere else so we can get on the bus? Not wanting to draw any more attention than he already had, Travis felt trapped. He couldn't argue with Sarah. He knew Aiden would not agree to Sarah being there, and he had people growing increasingly angry behind him. Clenching his jaw tightly together, Travis climbed up into the bus, forcing Aiden to break his own flabbergasted stare and start into the bus. Aiden stopped by the driver for a moment and then headed to the back, leaving Travis uncertain as to what to do. He had no boarding pass to show the driver, but the bus driver offered a friendly smile and tilted his head at Travis. When Travis didn't move right away, the driver gave a jerk of the head toward the back. He seemed to lose a bit of the friendly disposition he had worn a moment before. At the very back of the bus, Brayden's head was leaned against a window, and he was out cold. Aiden sat beside him and was busy pulling out a laptop from his backpack. That didn't stop him from occasionally throwing angry glances up at Travis and Sarah as they approached and found their seats on the opposite side. Sarah, who was seated by the window on their side, tapped Travis to get his attention. He'd been watching Brayden and Aiden with some concern. So, who are those guys anyway? Friends? From where? I don't remember seeing them around school. Well, I don't actually know. I don't think they're even from this town. How did you meet them? Brayden helped me escape some weird ghost girl. Sarah locked eyes with Travis for a long time without saying anything. She had received a lot of new information from that sentence, most of which she had no context to make any sense out of. Finally deciding where she wanted to start, she said, "Ghost girl?" "Yeah, well, I don't think she's actually a ghost. It seemed like she might have just been turning into the wind." "Wait, you ran into someone else who has abilities?" The exclamation nearly knocked Travis out of his seat. He then tried to shush Sarah, but she kept going. "How many do you know?" Realization dawned on the girl, and she looked around, Travis toward Aiden and Brayden. And then she sat back again. "Oh, that's why you're with... Will you be quiet?" Travis hissed. "Did you think maybe I don't want everyone to know about... well, you know." Sarah settled down a little and glanced over to see a woman turning back to face forward after obviously staring in their direction. When she spoke again, it was much quieter. "Why not? It's really cool. I wish I had powers." "No, you don't. No one would wish this." Travis gestured around him. "On the run? Betrayed by your own family? No idea what to do or where to go?" Travis bent forward and interlocked his fingers behind his head. "I would much rather go back to dealing with homework and bullies." Silence followed. Travis, staring at an empty candy wrapper on the floor, was a little bothered by it. On the one hand, he did not want to continue arguing with the girl, but the increasing void just left him with his own thoughts again, and he was finding he did not like that at all. Doubts, fears, and regrets all bounced around in his head and chipped away at his soul. A hand came to rest on his back. It made the boy twitch in surprise, and, for just a moment, he thought it was the hand of his mother. It had been a long time since someone had tried to console him. Of course, it had been a long time since he had been open enough with anyone to allow them the chance. His mother had been that person, back when they were closer, before Travis knew she had been keeping secrets from him. That last thought crushed the sense of fondness bubbling up for the woman, fondness and regret for the way he had treated her. It's her fault we aren't close anymore. You can't be close to someone when you're lying right to their face. There was some garbled announcement on the bus, and then shifting of gears and the lurch of movement indicated that they were on their way to... well, Travis didn't actually know where they were headed. He glanced over toward Aiden, expecting to see him focused on his laptop. Instead, he and a now awake Brayden were deep in conversation. Travis's insides twisted as he felt out of the loop even with his new friends. Hushed conversations away from him just like his parents probably had on a regular basis. Sitting back up, he felt Sarah's hand leave his back, and he could feel her eyes on him. There was a tension in the air, as if she wanted to say something, but was holding back. Travis had to wonder why. It wasn't like she had held back earlier. Was it out of pity? That did not make him feel any better. He both wanted the girl to say something and to leave him alone all at the same time. "Could you stop staring at me?" "Oh, yeah, sure." There was a shift in the seat beside him, and he no longer felt her eyes on him, though the tension in the air seemed to thicken rather than dissipate. "Sorry." Travis offered a dispassionate shrug in response, which he realized was pointless now that he told her to stop looking at him. There was another long pause where neither of them spoke. Travis listened to the constant hum of the engines that made it impossible to hear any whispered conversations taking place elsewhere in the vehicle. "Look, I don't know what is going on with your family," Sarah started, "but going on the run is a decision you're making for yourself. Nobody is forcing you to do that." Sarah peeked over at Aiden and Brayden again. "Right? I can't stay in school. You saw how everyone looked at me. I don't have a choice." "Of course you have a choice." Travis shot Sarah a sharp expression of complete disbelief. She rolled her eyes. "You do. Just because you don't like the other choices doesn't mean you don't have one." "So I should just stay home and go back to school? Is that what you're saying?" Forgetting he wanted to keep a low profile, Travis's voice grew louder. "You saw how the others reacted yesterday. There's no way I could go back there. You can't blame people for being surprised. It isn't like you handled it well either." Travis opened his mouth to fight back, but Sarah was right. He had panicked when he found out what he was doing, but that was because of how everyone else reacted. He wasn't afraid of his abilities, he was afraid of what people would do to him because of it. That isn't the same thing. What I did makes me a target. Of course I ran. A target? Weren't you already? I've seen the way Jeremy picks on you. Don't you think that maybe they might actually leave you alone a little more after what happened? No way. They would drive me out of town. So you decided to just run on your own? Wanted to make it easier on them? Them? What? No, I'm not making it. I'm making it easier on me. Travis was surprised at how quickly the argument had escalated. He felt very hot and his throat had tightened. There was a brief thought that maybe he was having an allergic reaction to something, but then remembered he hadn't eaten anything all day. Why do you even care? Why are you here? Just wanted to harass me since you didn't get a chance at school? Sarah's jaw was set and her eyes narrowed dangerously. I just wanted to help. You ran away after judging everyone around you before they even had the chance to do any of the things you are so convinced they would do. It never occurred to you that there might be some who actually think that what you can do is cool, and even more, that people might not even care. I hate to break it to you, but you aren't the only person in the world to feel the way you do. Plenty of people are picked on. Plenty of people are confused and lost and don't know what to do. Just because you sparkle a little doesn't mean everything about you is unique and special. Sarah huffed and turned to stare out the window, leaving Travis to stare at the back of her head in complete shock. He was angry. He was hurt. And being really hungry did not help at all either. There was a strong desire to shout some more, but he didn't even know what he would say. Plus, he was becoming more aware of his surroundings again and really didn't want to cause any more of a scene than he already had. I didn't cause the scene. She did, he thought to himself. Yeah, he responded back. And you think arguing that point is going to help help calm things down? Travis slammed himself back into his seat and faced forward, arms crossed. He had thought leaving town was going to bring a sense of relief, but Sarah, it appeared, was determined not to let that happen. Travis had not said another word for 10 minutes, and neither had Sarah. When someone did speak, it was from the opposite side of the bus. Brayden and Aiden were trying to get his attention. Leaning halfway across the aisle, Aiden waited for Travis to mirror the position before speaking in a low voice. How do you know that girl? Why is she here? Travis shrugged. She goes to my school. Aiden gave an exaggerated blink before breaking eye contact to look back at Brayden. It sounded like he was relaying information back to him, and then after getting a reply, turned back to Travis. So she just randomly tracked you down at the bus station? I guess. And that doesn't seem suspicious to you? Not that I had a ton of time to think about it, but he thought about it. No. I mean, it's more surprising there weren't more people looking for me there, right? Not really. They probably already checked there. So why had she shown up just when we did? Travis didn't like it, but he realized Aiden had a point. The arrival of Sarah at just the right time did seem a little suspicious. Either by Travis's expression or the fact that he had not replied right away, Aiden noticed that he was getting through to him. Brayden thinks that she might be working with the recruits. I have to say I agree with him. Now, while Brayden might think she is in on it, I do think it's possible that your friend has no idea who she is helping. They might have just sent someone to act concerned about you. From what Travis could tell, Aiden was trying to not upset him. He was making sure not to accuse Sarah outright, thinking there was more of a relationship there. A twitch at the side of Travis's mouth was a subtle sign that he was amused by Aiden's efforts. After all, he hardly knew Sarah, and at the moment, he was certain he didn't like her at all. This isn't just some joke, Aiden hissed. He had apparently mistaken Travis's reaction. If she is working for them involuntarily or not, we have a problem. She's probably going to call them the first chance she gets, and then they'll be able to find us. Aiden's eyes looked up and then bounced left to right, almost as if he was reading something, assuming they didn't already set up a way to track her. Aiden leaned over to look around Travis at the same time. Travis twisted to look at Sarah as well. She was still staring out the window and did not notice them staring at her. Deep suspicion etched into their faces. We'll need to ditch her as soon as we can, Aiden concluded. He didn't like the idea, but Travis knew Aiden was right. He nodded his agreement, and the pair of them, with some input from Brayden, started a plot just how they were going to do it. That ends what we have for today. That's the end of Chapter 4. We'll start on Chapter 5 next week. Hoping you're all enjoying the story still. I know I certainly am. And can't wait to see where it's all headed. Love you all, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.